right.
Hello, friends.
Hey, everybody.
How we doing? How we doing, Johnny? How you doing, Houston? Everybody all right tonight?
Good.
Doing good. How about
Good.
Yeah,
y'all?
man. Welcome back to Hillbilly Hives Live. Let's look through these comments, say hello to some people here. Get some people howdied up. Howdy, Bob. Howdy, Tim and Hannah. Um, howdy, Wayne. Howdy, Ray. Howdy, Phil from Fermanagh. Got Nor
North
Northern
Ireland in the house.
Northern Ireland in the house. Uh, the Queen's Ireland, and we got Rodney Middleton. We got Lee. What's up, y'all? Stacy, howdy. Who else we got here? Bohemian Bees. Who's that guy? Oh yeah, I might know him somewhere. Tonight's guest. That's Jason Cook. All right, moving right along. We appreciate all y'all coming in here tonight. Greg Burns, my brother. That right there. Whew. The Lighthouse in the house with Hillbilly Hives Live. Turn it over to you, Houston. Talk to us.
Now you're doing a fine job, brother. I had trouble finding the link.
That's all
John
right. We
seen
get
it
her
right.
figured out.
Yeah, but I had to go
There's
back
no
and try to
lies that
find it.
make you
Where'd it
nervous.
go? Where'd it go?
Oh,
I don't know
hey, yeah,
why,
that's
but I
right.
get excited. You ever
There
say
was,
something you don't mean to say, or you can be like me and Greg was talking one night. You can say,
Yeah,
you,
every
you can
day.
think you're going to say orange and go black, and then say, I'm going to say black and say orange. And you don't even know why you did it. It's that it's that feel good feeling of just being a part of this YouTube thing that gets us so excited, I guess, and
Yep.
worked up.
It's pretty
I'm glad to be a part of
high
it.
adrenaline.
I have big news tonight. I do. First of all, Bohemia Bees is going to be with us, Jason Cook, celebrating his 10,000 subscriber count. And Bohemia 10 works on hillbillybeekeeping.com. We want y'all to come on, get that 10% off of Apis or whatever's on hillbillybeekeeping.com. And it's 10% off. So enough about advertising and back into the show. We just love being a part of everything. And I'm gonna talk about wings tonight, and I'm excited to do that. But first, we've got Johnny's got a segment and Houston's got a segment tonight, and I think everybody's going to be tickled with it. And what do you say we rock and roll with Johnny going first, Houston?
Sounds good to me.
oh, hey, I
Rock
don't.
on.
That sounds all right, fellas. I don't have a whole lot to say. What I did want to
I
share
love
though.
what you do got to say, though, baby.
Well, thanks, Earl. What I did want to share is something I got out of the American Bee Journal. There was an article in the most recent magazine that came out that talked about the most recent, the 8th edition of the Varroa Management Guide, and this is something that the Honeybee Health Coalition comes out with every so many years. And let me. What I want to do is I want to share the screen
Yes,
with
sir.
you here.
Please. What's up, Rich from Thomas Honey?
Rich.
And yeah, like I say, this is out of the American Bee Journal, and there's a link in there that takes you to the Honeybee Health Coalition, and then you can just scroll down from there, and you can get the 8th edition in the free resources section
Awesome.
of the Varroa Management Guide. And I went ahead and download. You can pull it up there, and then just of course click on the little down there, download the PDF, and it's really good, very
Yes,
informative,
sir.
loaded with
You know,
That
information.
is that
Johnny, a lot
newer
of
than the
people.
day damp one?
This one,
Sorry,
this
Earl.
one, this one just came out August 1st,
All right.
2022,
Cool.
and it's as you can see here by the table of contents. Of course, it goes in, talks about varroa mites, goes into the integrated pest management strategies, monitoring varroa mite populations, selecting the control methods. And as you'll see here, it lists all the popular methods, and what was really cool
Mhm.
about it, it's got videos instructions on most all of
That's
these.
important. I don't
Yeah,
know if you're aware, Johnny, but a lot of people, or should I say, very new beekeepers or beginning beekeepers, are confused a lot of times and think they have a laying drone because they see these white deposits in the cells, and a lot of times it can be where Varroa deposit uh, their feces, and it's usually always 12 o'clock, top dead center, uh, inside the cell and to the top for some weird reason. They like to put it there, and
Yeah.
stuff like this let you know about that.
Right.
And that
Exactly.
thing is loaded.
Yeah, it's free. Like I say, a lot of video links, which I really like. Being a
I
visual
love
learner.
information.
Yeah, and so I think it's a free download. So everybody ought to take advantage of this, and most of you may know about it already. If you don't, do yourself a favor and go download it. So
Nice.
that was what I wanted to share with everybody in the out of the most recent edition of American Bee Journal. But also
That's
too,
cool.
just some of the events around the country that are coming up. If you happen to be lucky enough to be close to any of them, November 15th and 16th, the California State Beekeepers Association will be having their annual convention. It looks like that's going to be a pretty big deal. And let's see here. The the Kansas Honey Producers fall meeting is November 4th and 5th.
That's awesome.
And they're going to have Katie Lee, Dr. Katie Lee from the University of Minnesota, doing 3 presentations. Randy Oliver is going to be doing a presentation via Zoom. Garrett Morris and Alan Armour are also going to be there. But that's just a couple of the events I wanted to share with y'all around the
Thank you,
country.
Johnny.
Oh, sure, you're welcome, buddy. And then also too,
It's
let me
about the
refresh.
weather.
Yeah, I was just going to give everybody take a look at the minimum temperatures coming up here around the country over the next few days.
Mm-hmm.
And what site was that again, John?
Yeah, sure.
Before.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah. It's digital.weather.gov. And
Nice.
there's lots of different information in there, but I thought this one was pretty cool. It's just a real quick overview of temperatures around the country. And as
Getting colder, looks like.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sure does. A lot more blue than the
Yeah,
last
I see a lot of
weeks.
blue.
A lot of blue. And so, as you can see here by the legend, when it gets down to starts getting into any of the blues at all, you're getting below 50 degrees Fahrenheit. And so
Bees don't like that.
That's for, let's see, that's for Friday night or Friday morning. This will be Saturday morning here, Sunday morning.
And I can relate to them bees, Johnny. When it gets below 50, I stove up too. I don't want to hardly move.
A little bit slower. Yeah, a little bit slower unless you're chopping wood or something.
Maybe it's because I'm 50.
Yeah. Let's take a look at the maximum temperatures here over the next few days. This will be tomorrow. That's pretty nice looking.
It looks good, don't it?
It sure does.
Why did the green have to come all the way down and hit me for? Why couldn't I be yellow like everybody around me, like Houston? Why did green just have to hit me?
Even the green's high 50s though, so you may still be all right. Your girls will still be working.
I know it, but I could have been in the yellow with Houston, but no, that one streak.
Yeah.
Just because we're up in the mountains.
Seeing that.
That's what I get
flying a little
stuck
bit
up in the sky.
Yeah. Hey, and since we noticed our buddy from Northern Ireland in the mix here,
I always do the Northern Ireland report.
Yeah, let's pull up a map here now. Now Phil told us he's close to, and I may be pronouncing this wrong, Enniskillen. So he's a southerner. He's a southerner. He's a southern Northern Islander, right? Am I getting that right?
Yeah, he's a southerner in Northern Ireland.
He's a southern Northern Ireland.
Northern Ireland.
Cool.
I knew I liked him.
I knew I liked him. Yeah, South Northern Ireland.
Yeah, so that's that's a map. So let's take a look at what's coming up for him next few days. Let me refresh this just in case.
That's the Queen's Island or the King's Island. I don't know what it is now.
Just for you. There you go, Phil. There's your weather next few days, buddy.
Here's the weather in Fermanagh.
Pretty normal. Looks like a little bit of sunshine peeking around the clouds for you there.
Is that Celsius?
Yeah, that's in Celsius, just for Phil.
Okay, because I was like 14.
His bees are clustered for sure, aren't they?
Earl can do some math, but I got to have pencil and paper.
Yeah, but hey, that was all I have, folks. Just a little bit of
that's awesome, Johnny. Thank you for that, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey,
What do
you're
you
welcome.
got,
Yeah, on a cell
Houston?
phone.
It's your night, Houston.
Well,
What do you got for us, Houston?
Hey, before he goes, hey, let me do a little introduction here, man. Houston has always got.
Where's your introduction, Johnny?
I forgot to play it.
I'll be
I'll do it next week.
that blamed.
Yeah, yeah. But hey, yeah. Oh, hey, before I play Houston's intro here, you know, he
Y'all
always
see,
has
I'm
good
trying to give
ideas.
everybody a chance before I start running my mouth.
But hey, well, anyway, Houston has good ideas about different hive styles.
Yeah,
And
I like this one here.
He
That
mentioned
leaf
one
is
today
cool.
I'd never heard of, man, and it's so amazing. So hey, I'm gonna play an intro
And
here.
he's right. It did. Yeah, he'll tell you.
Let me stop sharing this screen over here. Okay, all right. Here goes Houston's intro.
definitely cool. I was glad you got
Houston,
some
I
of
got to
those
say that
pictures of
music
that.
suits you to a T, man. That's the kind of jams you play when we jam.
It is,
Sometimes.
yeah, yeah. I like the blues.
That is awesome.
I'm glad John got a picture of that hive in there, and I don't know if everybody really noticed it, but it's like a book, and I that's kind of where Langstroth went back to, I believe, because I read an article somewhere
Oh,
where
it is.
Langstroth
Yeah.
kind of referenced that on getting his hive together. So I thought that was pretty cool. But was thinking about information, where we get it, and we don't always know, is this the right information? Where's this coming from?
Hey, you know
You
what me
think
and
back,
Reverend Langstroth have in common, Houston?
what's that?
He was bipolar like me. He had to talk to the bees. Humans can't understand him.
Right. But he's definitely one of them, man. But he looked even further back, because he had to have somebody to guide him. Like A.I. Root, he looked back and that was only 2 bee books for him. It says in that XYZ of beekeeping. He looked and there were 2. Langstroth Hive and the Honeybee was one he went with. And I mean, look at what A.I. Root did,
Yeah.
for the
In the
industry.
70s and 80s, we had data.
But Langstroth went back even further to he's a Swiss entomologist, and I did make some notes on him because I'm terrible memory. 1750 to 1831, and anybody that don't know about him, you can find some of this information on Bush Farms. I think is that right, John?
Yeah, that's exactly where these pictures came from, Houston. You had mentioned that when I started looking for pictures. That seemed to be who had the most.
Well, his site's got his book too, if I ain't mistaken. But most of the information we use as beekeepers today came from Huber, and he was actually blind. So, yes, is it like the blind leading
That's
the
where I
blind?
knew him.
He
Now,
I
when you
made
said he
notes
was
because he
blind, when
did
we
so
talked
much.
about him, now I know who you're talking about, Bubby.
Right. He we wasn't always blind. I reckon he got sick or something around 15, but pretty much right on till he died. So, but he did, figured out the queens didn't mate in the hive, that they made in the hive, and and he did all that with help. Of course, he's blind; he can't see all that. He had
he
other
told his helpers what to
entomologists.
look for.
Right. But he figured out that they could take the eggs, and feed them royal jelly and make the queen. That the queens battle it out. He discovered that they kill the drones out at the beginning of summer. What happens when you replace a queen with a new queen? He's the one figured out the antenna communications. That they communicate with their antennas. And he
Has
wrote a book
anybody
on.
elaborated on that, Bubby?
I don't
Has
think so,
anybody
John.
elaborated on antenna communications?
I mean, I'm sure an entomologist has. But I don't.
I haven't seen any
I don't
work
know where
on
to look. And but he did a bunch of stuff on wax, so he's got another book on wax, and he figured out the
Myra
cell
Silk Palmitate.
dimensions. how they spin that silk to make the cocoons. He made the first observation hives, and of course the leaf hive that John showed in the clip coming on there. So he's a pretty interesting guy. And,
in a way, he was kind of blessed to be able to sit back and have all these other young guys and girls observe and give him their thoughts and what they saw and stuff. So all he had to do was really just think about it.
His wife was one of the main helpers or whatever of him. He had other people until she was allowed to marry him, and then I reckon she was like his main one. But there's some other guys in there, so I know Wikipedia says some stuff about him on there too. And if I ain't mistaken, you can download the English version of his books through Wikipedia, if I ain't mistaken. But yeah, that's kind of all I got, guys. Just
I love it. Thank you.
That was
looking back to the old masters.
Very interesting. Hey, fellas, guess what? We're lucky. Our special guest has shown up. He's in the green room now.
Well, hang on a minute. You can bring him on, but I'm doing my segment.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I told him that we can work around the segments because he may be short on time. Hopefully, he'll be able to stay with us the whole time.
Oh,
everybody wants you to. I want you to give a warm welcome to Jason CROOK, Mr. Jason CROOK. Now, Earl, I think you've been leaving out one letter, buddy, in his name, in his last name, and but it's Bohemia Bees, yeah. And but hey, here, let's see, let's bring him on in.
Well, fix me and I'll make it better.
Hey, Jason.
Come on, brother.
Everybody loves you tonight, man. They got you. All right. Yeah. Jason.
Thanks for coming in, buddy.
Hey, no problem. Appreciate the opportunity, guys. I'm actually in the green room. See, my office is
yeah.
Nice. You didn't have to bring me on. I was just getting ready. I was looking for snacks and all that, just trying to get ready. So,
yeah. What do you think of our green room? Is there plenty of food and everything?
It's good. Green room was perfect. Snacks were great.
Sauce.
Fresh fruit and everything.
Perfect, Earl.
Yeah, man. For everybody that don't know, this is Jason CROOK. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, Jason CROOK.
Just like it sounds, Jason CROOK.
Of Bohemia Bees. And we're happy to have him with us tonight. He's closing in on his 10,000 subscriber count. As a result of that, hillbillybeekeeping.com is offering 10% off with the code Bohemia10. Y'all check that out. And tell us about yourself, Jason. And I'll do my segment.
No, I'm not going to start. You got a segment to do, Earl. I'm going to listen to your segment.
You want to do it first? Okay. Roll that beautiful bee footage, Johnny.
Awesome. Here we go.
There you go.
I can be with you tonight and talk to you about this very important subject about our honeybees. I will guarantee you that some of you, maybe not all of you, but some of you will learn a great deal tonight with this talk about honeybees. And before I go on talking, I want you to know where I got some of my information. Actually, the majority of my information comes from the Bee Informed Partnership, BIP. You can check it out on BIP and cross-reference what I'm telling you. The Bible says, put your faith in no man. I will give you the information, but it's your responsibility to do the due diligence and studying and increasing your own knowledge and learning about it. And what I want to talk about is what we started last week, but didn't get we had some superstars on like we do tonight, but we had two of them at one time. And so we just had to condense the show, but I didn't get to talk about the order of Hymenoptera or the membrane winged insects quite as much as I wanted to. And so I'm going to skip straight into the honeybee's wings. And the bee's wings at first just was a curiosity, and then it became an amazement to me, and what I learned and what I found out. As we all know, bees have an open circulatory system, except for the wings. The wings actually have vessels that transport hemolymph, which is blood and lymphatic fluid combined, as in the way of bugs. So it transports that hemolymph through the wings. It creates an important structure of the wing, and 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 this blows my mind. Some of y'all probably already knew it. Breathing spiracles. They can breathe through their wings. With all those spiracles under their body and they fall in honey, I always wondered, why don't they drown? All their breathing spiracles are straight down, but they got their wings. And you notice that when bees get tracheal mites, one of the symptoms is K-wing, and that's when they get that K-wing position. Well, the spiracles and the tracheals are so infected with tracheal mites that they will hold their wings out and use their wings to try to get extra breath of air through their wings. The wings membrane is made up of the same stuff that the exoskeleton is made out of. And this stuff is spelled Chitin, but you say it cotton, cotton. And what is cotton? What is this cotton? It's similar to our fingernails. Cotton is the same thing in those Australian cassowary birds that's got those big horns, and it's made out of cotton. And cotton is made out of hydroxyl compounds and cellulose, hemicellulose, and especially. So sometimes the animals do not get the amount of hydroxyl compounds or celluloses, hemicelluloses in the wild, and they will use other compounds and add to that to make up for it. And as a result, there are some animals like the millipede that has used cotton with sodium bicarbonate, or same thing we use in baking soda, and it produces a super strong polycarbonate shell that most animals can't even pierce with stinger or fang. And
that's why they crunch when you step on them, ain't it?
Yes, sir. And the wings have such a pure form of cotton that when they form, it's clear. You should be able to see through the wings. It should be very shiny, and you should be able to identify every aspect of those veins traveling throughout that wing segment. The forewing is going to contain a radial and a costa, which is going to be kind of like the bone structure in the front of the wing. It's going to have a marginal cell. The marginal cell identifies it as being in the honeybee species. Then you're going to have a second and a third and a fourth marginal, submarginal cells. First, second, third, and fourth submarginal cells, or how you can then identify subspecies of bee. And it's an art form that few can actually get good at.
So I guess that's how Brother Adam did that when he went and looked for the Monacola or whatever it was.
You can look at their wings and know what they are. I can look at a wing and tell you, if you brought me nothing but a wing, I could tell you if it was a honeybee or not. I couldn't tell you what kind. There's people that's good enough to tell you what kind they are. So when you think about this cotton and how pure it needs to be and having enough of it, you really, really, you just can't stress the importance of nutrition and diet for them to come up with the necessary nutrients and vitamins and hydroxyl compounds and hemicellulose and cellulose that it takes to produce cotton. And it's amazing how strong it is. I don't know if you've ever fooled with the honeybee's wings or tested the strength of them, but I have in the dead honeybees, and it is amazing and how strong those little wings are. And as a bee ages, their wings will get tattered. And when those wings become tattered, it becomes harder to fly, especially loaded. And so it puts such a strain on our bees that they die. So you're looking at a maximum of 400 to 500 hours of flight time. Roughly 2 weeks after a bee leaves the hive and starts its foraging activity, it's straight downhill to death, um, because of the strenuous activity of foraging. And as soon as the bee leaves the hive, the corpus allotrum in the back of the bee's brain stops the production of vitellogenin with proline and starts the production of juvenile hormone, which starts the aging process of the bee, which changes some of its abilities and physical characteristics. And so now proline becomes energy instead of protein. And this is all the science behind wings and cotton and having the nutrients and the ability, not just for the wings, but for the exoskeleton to make a strong stinger, to make a healthy bee. These are all important factors that we have to consider. Yeah, they're vitamins. Yeah, they're trace minerals. Yes, um, there's amino acids, but there's also carotenoids, phytosterols, or basically all that means is it's a reaction, that's noticeable, that they can tell. So these are noticeable reactions that's going to happen within the bee that are helpful, and these hydroxyl compounds and all these different things found in nectar and pollen that our bees use to create exoskeletons. And like I said, other animals do it as well. There's many a member of the Hymenoptera, which means they have four wings. They have a dual set of wings. And the beauty thing about the honeybee is they can hook those two wings together with these little zipper hooks called hamuli. And they remind me of a zipper without the actual zipper part. And they can latch those wings together and take off flying as if they're just two wings when actually they're four held together by those hamuli or hooks. That's how strong they are, the wings, that they have those abilities. And when people say, "Well, cut the wing off and you'll stop swarming," you're going to make her bleed if you do. However, that being said, Dr. Jamie Ellis has a way of doing it where he uses the hind wing, not the forewing, but the hind wing, and he only cuts off so much of it. And if you'll notice on the hind wing, there is not as much blood vessel material to be cut as there is in the forewing, where you have the marginal cells, the dorsal vein, and the second and
that might be why they kill her sometimes after she's split,
continuous veins. Absolutely. If she's
some
deformed,
kind of sin or something,
or she looks like she's, deformed, they don't like she's got to look good. She's got to smell good, and she's got to lay good. We call her a queen, but she's just a mother. She's no queen. She's a worker of all workers. She must lay. She must continue to produce lots of pheromone to her mandibular glands, and she must look good. That shows them what the future bees are going to look like, and they see that. They know faces. It's a proven fact. Bees can do face recognition. I've seen videos where a bee could fly into a dish and move a tiny rubber ball and access the nectar. And every time a bee would come back, they wouldn't try to figure out how to do it. They just moved the ball, access the nectar. They are learning creatures. They know things. I once seen a spider pack its web up and leave. It's like, this place is horrible. I'm going hunting somewhere else. So just what we've learned is the mushroom bodies in their brains is made up of such a dense material, where ours is not so dense. But they're equally as impressive. It doesn't take as much of an insect brain to do what a human brain does. And so to speak, you have to remember the honeybee is the largest brain in the insect kingdom. They have the largest brain of all arthropods. And with that being said, you need the proper nutrition. And in case you're wondering where you can get all those hydroxyl compounds and cellulose and proline and all that other stuff, you can get it in Apis Biologics, baby. And that's all I got to say about that. I'm going to turn this over to my buddies. God bless y'all. God bless your bees. Hello, Jason.
It was a great segment, Earl. Jason, so hey, you're still muted, Jason.
I was going to say, sorry about that. And I love listening to you talk, Earl, because you're such a wealth of information, right? And
sometimes I repeat myself, but I do it to clarify. It's not to dumb anything down. I don't want to miss anything. And I think it's important that this kind of information gets relayed to us beekeepers and not kept secret in the club of entomology or in a doctor's paper somewhere. Like I said, all the things I've told you about, I read, and most of this you can read on Bee Informed Partnership.
Yeah, there's a lot of good information out there.
They actually breathe through their wings. That freaked me out, Jason. I didn't know they could breathe through their wings.
Yeah, well, they don't actually. When I was going through coursework, I learned that bees don't actually flap their wings either. They do a figure 8 motion.
Yes, sir.
That's how they fly. Yeah. So
they come
doing a figure
up,
8 motion,
flatten them out, and come back down, and then they come back up, and yeah, you're exactly right. That also is on Bee Informed Partnership. Same paper I read.
Mm-hmm.
You can read all about it. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, the good thing is that you got that foundation of all that knowledge that can help you try to now put it in practice when you're out there. Because there's a lot of people who get stuck in the book, right? They get stuck in the book, or they get stuck in a course, or they think they need to have a title to make them sound like and be a good beekeeper, and that does help because that's exposure, right? And the more you can expose yourself,
right,
the coursework, the more you can expose yourself to information. But
if you need a title, call yourself a pragmatic beekeeper. A pragmatic beekeeper is the person that takes in the natural situation of things and acts upon it accordingly, not based on a fixed idea, theory, or rule. So it's read the hive and act accordingly.
Exactly. I agree with that 100%. Although I can't classify myself as a hillbilly, as I mentioned before, I'm a shorebilly.
I heard that.
I like that, Jason.
Shorebilly.
People forget that
you're welcome aboard.
If you go backwards in your ancestry far enough, you will run into a hillbilly.
Hell yeah. Oh, well, I'll go back far. I'm a Scotsman, so I go back.
Absolutely.
I have definitely some good ancestry.
I'm Scotch Irish, got a little Scotch, not a lot, but some, and Irish, and I'm Shawnee Native American and African American, and I'm proud to be all of it, and that makes me Earl. And
that's right.
That's
it's like the queens that we raise. They're all mutts. I don't care what people.
That's exactly right.
They're all mutts.
That's why I get along with my girls. I'm just like y'all. I'm all mixed up.
Very true.
And I love that.
Glad to be here, guys.
There's a thing called hybrid vigor. Have you heard of that?
Oh,
what's
no
that
doubt
again?
about it. Hybrid vigor.
No, I'm not. What's that?
Hybrid vigor. That's like a junkyard dog. You can't hardly kill a junkyard dog. They have hybrid vigor.
A lot of times hybrids outperform originals.
Any purebred dog I ever had, they had more tendency to be sickly than crossbreed dogs that I had.
Yeah. For instance, pit bulls suffer from hip dysplasia and dry skin, which is something I constantly battle with my babies.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, we're talking about the exoskeletons in the wings. You can walk up to your colony and look and see, you know, how do their wings look? I noticed I had some pictures. I wish I could have got them to you, Johnny, where the cotton was actually starting to flake and peel off. They didn't have what they needed
Hmm.
to make what, so they adapted other compounds, which they will do, and it made a inferior wing, and it was flaking, and you could tell in the direction as they flew, it was making it worse, which was going to peel and tatter the wing more than a smooth, clear, bonded shell of cotton when they have enough stuff to do it with. And
Well,
we
they say
take for
that's the
granted.
difference between your winter bees and your worker bees. Is
Yes,
that the
sir.
worker bees will live a shorter life. That they'll live the lifespan that they live, but it's based on their wings and their hair. And if they start to lose their hair or their wings start to get tattered, they are just a useless they're useless to the colony. So they
That
essentially will
all
work
usually
themselves to
starts when
death.
that juvenile hormone kicks in and cuts off
Yep.
the proline and vitellogenin.
Yep.
For that vitellogenin is so important to our winter bees. It's a known fact that um, queens have the most proline and vitellogenin. Second is drones, which is why I think Varroa favors the drone. Proline and vitellogenin is all stored and utilized in the fat body of bees.
Yeah.
They need an exoskeleton just as strong as the next critter. They're going to suck it out of our bees. And so that's what I think. And it actually kind of got me lost where I was headed with this. But my thoughts are they all, uh, it's still an insect. Varroa needs those things as well. And when they go outside and that juvenile hormone kicks in and they stop the vitellogenin and proline is being used as a fuel, you don't see Varroa on them as much. You see them on the nurse bees because the nurse bees have more proline and vitellogenin than worker bees, but still not as much as the drone bees. So I know they favor the longer gestation period, but I also think they favor the overabundance of food, which is the more proline and the more vitellogenin that is found in drone bees and queen bees, and then nurse bees, and then forager bees who have the least and end up drying up and dying because they can't maintain. I mean, they're just designed to work till they die. They're not designed to maintain
Makes
themselves,
sense.
such as the inner working bee
Yeah,
is.
that makes sense.
Jamie Ellis, Dr. Jamie Ellis, drove it into my mind, and I have taken those courses. Some of them down there at University of Florida. Encourage others to do so as well. But it was just drilled into my mind, Varroa, 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 small hop beetle. Uh, what do they eat? What do they do? And then he, he's very thorough, and so there's a lot of things that he opened my eyes to that there's no going backwards now. I have to know more.
Thirst for knowledge. That's the way to go. Keep learning. Never stop learning. That's my philosophy. I think
The
that's
more I
where I've
learn, the
been
more
hung up.
questions I have. The more questions I get, and
Yeah.
I'm assuming everybody's that way. But it takes all of us getting together and sharing it and not hoarding it or hogging it, which
Yep.
blows my mind to find out everything I've talked about tonight is right there in that Bee Informed Partnership article about honeybee wings for everybody to read. So why don't we, so, well, we didn't know. So somebody needs to read it and say, hey, y'all, did you see this? And so that's how we help each other.
Yeah.
Just like tonight, having you on. I can't wait to hear about, because you've had some pretty cool and different hives, setups. You will experiment.
I love to
Know it or
experiment. That
not,
was
I
my
believe you to
philosophy going
be,
into it.
You're
Just
definitely
wanted
a
to just try
pragmatic
different
beekeeper.
things.
So I'm gonna shut up and leave it to you, man. I want to hear more about you.
Let's take just a quick moment in case folks didn't notice in the chat. The Buckman 1966 had some heart issues today, and so
Oh,
we're
Lord.
requesting prayers for him. So everybody, please keep him in your prayers.
Definitely.
And so
Absolutely.
so a lot of folks are commenting and offering up prayers in the comments. Just wanted to make sure everybody heard that. But yeah, Jason, thanks so much for
I
being
was
on,
talking.
buddy.
I didn't even look.
There's so many interesting things on your channel, and yeah, like Earl said earlier, Jason's almost to 10,000, and in all likelihood, most of y'all are subscribed to Jason already. If there's a chance though that some of you aren't for any reason, do yourself a favor, subscribe. Try to get him to 10,000. Some fascinating stuff on there, and I want you to tell us about it, Jason. One of the things I'm really interested in is your mobile. It's like a mobile apiary, if you will, mobile bee yard that you can move out.
Pollination cart, yeah, a pollination cart. I just recently got into pollination about a year ago with the help of some local commercial guys, and I've wanted to do it just because I need to figure out different ways to diversify my approach to beekeeping. I mean, as Earl mentioned, I love experimenting. I love doing different things, different setups. I'm not just going to try one way and think that that's the way to do it. You have to see what works for you. I mean, everything's different in you see me when I comment on different streams, beekeeping is local, beekeeping is local. It
Yes.
absolutely is. I mean, what works for someone else doesn't always work for me. And to think that my answers are the exact answer that everybody should go off of is absolutely wrong. I mean, you go with what works for you. You take my input and you take whatever you want to take from me and my channel and from you guys, and then you formulate your approach, what's unique to you and your bees by watching your bees, because they're, in my mind, the most important mentor. I mean, we talk about having mentors, having books to read and classes to take. Just watch your bees. As Greg always says,
replaces watch
get
time.
the learning chair, watch and chair. Watch your bees and learn from them because they're your best mentor. They're going to tell you what to do and not to do and what they need. I mean,
if I said to you right now, if I said to all four of us, if I said, assume the feeder bee position right now,
yeah,
would you know what to do? I would jump right in it. I might not can do it, but I know I'm going to go down and look like I'm doing a push-up with my head stuck straight out, because that's the only way they can feed another bee. And I love watching them do that. And I love especially because sometimes the feeder bees, they'll walk up and get in their face and be like, you hungry? And they'll be like, no. And then they're like, wait, you hungry? And they're like, no. And they're like, wait, you hungry? It's like you're hurting my feelings. You got to eat. And sometimes they'll give in and say, yeah, I'm hungry. And if you know my hand language and their antennas, I'm doing their sign language. I've recognized 7 patterns so far in antenna language. That's obvious.
Yeah.
It's if they rub the mandibles, it means feed me. The first thing a feeder bee will do is she'll tap the right jaw and the left jaw. And if they don't want any, they'll put their antenna straight down and head bun away like, no. And then she'll do it again. You just got to make sure.
Yeah, they'll do.
Are you sure? Are you sure you don't want any? Come on.
It acts like it breaks your heart, And then just as soon as somebody wants some, she's like, yay! And gets the position. I was like, they love each other so much. It's crazy. We should be bees. We should love each other. What? You're hungry. Come on. You remind me of my grandma. I'm done. I don't need no more. No, you're skinny, boy. You need some more. Eat that. I'm like,
you gotta eat. You got some more, boy.
Okay,
That's what my grandmother
said. I got it.
That's right.
So it just makes sense, man. And if you love them, you can't help but be affectionate toward them and want to be intimate with them. And what I call intimate is when normal knowledge ain't enough. When you're trying to do weird stuff like peeking the hive, monitoring temperatures and humidities, and thinking you can make sense of it, and just watching them on the walk board, monitoring your bottom boards, constantly just seeing what are y'all throwing away, what are you bringing in, what are you doing, how are you looking. I love my flow hive windows. I can always look in and see, and it makes me feel good. I look like, well, you shouldn't have a super in the winter, but I'm not winter yet. And right now, those wax building bees need somewhere to build wax. If they're not going to build it up around a flow hive, they're going to start cross combing and doing weird stuff. They must. They have different ages in which they got to do certain things. They got no control over it. Their age and their makeup of their body insist upon it, and so they have to, and they're going to make it somewhere. It's either going to be on your where you don't want it, or where you do want it. And the thing I love about a honeybee is once they dedicate, once they say, "I'm going to do this," they stick to it.
Well, it's funny you say that, Earl, because that's one of the questions I get from my class when I teach classes to local beekeepers here and mentor people. That's the first thing they ask. They're like, well, what got you into beekeeping? And my answer isn't, necessarily the flow hive, right? Because I did have a flow hive, and I still have a flow hive. I don't use it, but I got into beekeeping much like some people with the interest in bees, and then I learned and I started reading and realizing the need for keeping bees in different ways and managing colonies. But I always say, my response to that question is, I am fascinated the fact that when a bee is born, it has a job. And it has a job every single day.
And it knows it.
And it knows
comes out of the shell and automatically goes and does it.
It doesn't ask for a vacation. It doesn't ask for another bee's job. It does its job. Yes. And if we could learn as a society that we all have jobs, regardless of what that job is in society,
and try to stop it. Try to stop that bee from doing that job. It goes crazy. It's like, no, I got to do this job. They don't just, they want to so bad they can't help it.
That's such a great point, Jason. If humans were more like bees, it would be more like heaven on earth, because you talk about a creature that does, each of them takes their role seriously, and nobody's a slacker. Everybody pulls their weight. It's just
and they work themselves to death. They work themselves to death, literally, for not the greater good of what they need right now, like honey. They work it for the next generation. So they're working hard to die for the next generation.
We'll even sacrifice ourselves for if they have to prevent making other bees sick.
If they think they're sick, they'll go as far away from home and say, "I don't want y'all to get it."
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, there is no greater love.
Thing. I love it.
Yeah, me too.
Now, Jason, you don't do lives, but you got one coming up. What's that about?
Yeah, thanks, Houston. I'm nervous about it still, but I've been having a lot of support from a lot of people, like Brian, for example. You guided me, and I'm doing it live because I wanted a way to give back to everybody who got me to where I'm at. I started with, like everybody else, a few hundred subscribers. Never knew where the channel would go. I have. I do all of them. I do TikTok, Twitter, Facebook. I do all the social media, and YouTube was just another one of them. And it started to grow. And, I had one video that I published in November of last year, around this time, actually, when I did the mason jar super. And it went viral. It went viral. And that's where I broke the 1,000 subscribers, right? And I was like, this is something. This is great. This is really cool. And I just kept saying, you know what? I'm not going to get ahead of myself. I'm not going to focus on anything other than just keep doing what I'm doing and liking it and enjoying it, and not do it, to force it. And it just came. When I didn't force it, it just continued to keep coming in and growing. And I said, you know what? We got to the point where I think I'm going to hit 10,000, and I got to think of something big to give back, right? So I said, how can I do that? And I literally just put together an email to all these vendors that I use, right, and that I sell in my store, because I do have an online store. And I just started emailing saying, hey, would you participate in this however you would want to, whether you join the live or whether you donate? You don't have to. I said, just if you would help me out. And I was floored by the response. Floored. Like, I couldn't believe it. Then the next morning, my inbox was jammed with people going, we'd love to help you out. Congratulations. We watched your channel.
Awesome, man.
I was like, you got to be kidding me. It was exciting. Well, this is great. And, I went down a list and had I reached out to a few other people that helped me when I did my collaboration video as well. Like, I did a collaboration video with a few people, Ian and Randy and people like that. And they're wanting to jump on as well. So I have not actually reached out to the three of you, because you three are the hardest to get a hold of, by the way. Just want to put that out there. You three are the hardest to reach out to. Because you're hidden out there. You're like in this space you can't get to.
In the mountains.
Hey,
Unlisted
y'all, I'm
numbers.
Earl, 639-1877,
There you go. See, now he's going to put it out for everybody.
1877.
They
So
they
I
pump
will say this.
sunshine in.
So
So
before I go any further, Houston and Earl and Johnny, I have a time slot just completely blanked and set aside for the three of you to come on my live stream next week if you want to do it.
wow,
Oh, man.
We would love
honor,
to.
man.
We
Wow.
would
I have
love
30
to.
people that have already confirmed, from like vendors to like Ian to Cayman to like Randy to all of them. They all have
Wow.
confirmed, but I got a single slot set aside for the Hillbilly crew. And I said, I need to get on there and I need to get a hold of someone.
Awesome.
And of course, I couldn't get a hold of you. So now that I'm on live, I'm formally asking the three of you, if you aren't doing
Thank you.
anything, it's going to be a little later because I figure you guys like to be on late. But if you can make it, the time slot that I have will be,
Absolutely,
right
brother.
here.
Let me read you
10:20.
guys a little something and see
hey,
if this
thank
doesn't
you.
correspond
Wait a second,
with
Earl. I
what
didn't
we
hear
were
what.
talking about earlier.
Wait a second,
Hang
Earl. I
on,
didn't hear
Earl.
what time.
Let me just make sure I can confirm this with you guys. So at 10:20, if you guys can log into the stream, I'll send you a link. The three of you, I'd love to have you on if you guys want to do that.
10,
Please.
10, 20, 10 Eastern. And what was the
10:20
date?
Yeah, I'd be
Eastern.
hon-
10:20
honored.
Eastern. Yeah, the only reason
Be
is I
honored.
got 30. Like I said, I have 30 people plus trying to schedule,
Yeah.
and I
Oh,
got them
sure,
in
no
like 5
problem.
to 10 minute intervals.
I would be honored to be on.
What was that
brother.
date? What was that date again? I was the only one missed it. I guess.
Wednesday the 19th, next Wednesday, the 19th, the time slot when the stream team does theirs, they actually graciously gave me that time slot. I begged
They're
and I said,
awesome.
please let me have it because I don't know what I'm doing.
I
So
love
Brian's
them.
going to help me. And, we're
Love
going to
those
kick it
guys.
off. And we'll go through the whole litany of just guests and all that stuff and people saying hello. And so if the three of you can join, that would be awesome.
Hey, all right.
Absolutely.
Awesome,
Be
man.
honored.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank
Be
you for the
honored.
invitation.
Thank
That's
you.
fantastic.
So I'll mark it
That's
as a
super
yes.
cool.
And I'll
Yeah, oh,
send you
yeah.
the link when we get closer.
Oh, cool,
Thank
man.
you.
Yeah, you get a yeser on that for sure.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Earl, you just want to read us something, buddy?
Go ahead, Earl.
Bees were respected for their orderliness, so much so that playwright and poet Shakespeare set their hive ways to verse. In his play, Henry V, the Archbishop of Canterbury, uses this speech to convince the king he has the right to France's throne. In the following, the commonwealth of the bees. Therefore doth heaven divide the state of man in diverse functions, settling endeavor and continual motion, to which is fixed as an aim or but obedience. For so work the honeybees, creatures that, by rule in nature, teach the art of order to a peopled kingdom. The civil citizens kneading up the honey, the poor mechanic porters crowding in their heavy burdens at his narrow gate, the sad-eyed justice with his surly hum, delivering over to executor pale, the lazy yawning drone. I don't see the drone as lazy.
Nope.
But
I'll tell you
anyway,
this.
that's Shakespeare
Talk
for
about
you.
drone, Earl. Let me put something out there to put in your brain to think about, since you like to analyze stuff. I'm part of a program at Penn State right now called the EPIC program, and it's about queen rearing and breeding. And I'm going through a bunch of stuff. Like Corey Stevens is leading some things. But anyway, I was on my last meeting 2 weeks ago, and we were talking about drones. And there was a presenter, and I got to grab her name. I forget who it was. It was presenting to us about studies they've done with drones and things like that. And I said,
why are they on the larvae?
well, I said to her, I said, is it possible that drones emit a pheromone that triggers to the hive and to know that they are present, essentially,
Healthy.
right? And
Yeah,
if
right.
Which means healthy.
they're absent, then the queen knows that they have no drones in the colony. Therefore, she starts to lay winter bees, right? So, because pheromones control everything in the hive. So
Right.
I'm trying to think, what's the triggering event for her to start to lay winter bees and not worker bees, and that sort of dynamic of those two?
Well, if you'd have asked me before I talked to you, I would have said food. Now you make me consider a new avenue, which I will just have to stay shut up about. But you can believe I will study it.
Well, Earl, I'll tell you this. Think about it this way. This is what I was thinking. The worker bees, the middle-aged bees, are really the guard bees. chew off the wings of the drones, drag them out of the hive around that kind of like October timeframe, September, October, and kick them out of the hive.
Yep.
They force them to exit the hive, thus cutting
Yeah.
off the pheromones that are in there of the drone, thus triggering the queen to start to lay winter bees. I mean,
No
it makes
doubt. And
sense.
they'll do
And
the
so when I
same
said
thing in
that,
the
It
dirt
does,
in the
yeah.
summertime.
yeah, the
In the
lady who was doing
summertime,
the
if they hit a
presentation,
dirt,
she goes, "That's
they'll
interesting."
cut
She
them
goes, "I've
off
never
first.
thought about something like that." And so she wrote it down. She's like, "We might do some studying on." I was like, "That." It just came to me one day, like about a year or
Wow.
two ago, and I don't know
That's
if
And
it's
why
that's
true or
we
Penn
not.
do this.
State.
That's why
What's
we
that?
do
Penn
this.
State.
Penn State, yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
I love it. Possibilities are crazy. I offer this. Watch your drones. Why are they on top of that larvae? And why do they stop? And just stay there for a while. And then move over to another 3 larvae. Stop. And just stay
Eat.
there for a while.
They're eating.
Their antenna is inside the cups. They're talking to the larvae because touch is their language.
Huh.
Why? What are they doing? And if you want proof of it, watch Fred Dunn's videos and you can set it on slow motion. He's already got some of them on slow motion, but you can go in your YouTube settings and speed up or slow down videos. So you can slow them down to a quarter speed and watch the bees very slowly and actually start seeing the flagellum and the pedicel and the scape, which are all the parts of the antenna moving more slowly instead of wow, what I say. I don't know,
Right.
but when you slow them down, you start to notice they never.
Maybe it's that
Watch a
fatherly
drone.
instinct. Maybe that kind of fatherly instinct, or that sort of instinct to kind of like,
I know they're breathing on them because all their spiracles are pointed directly into different cups. They're breathing on them and they're talking to them. Are they warming them? Are they telling them bedtime stories? I don't know.
Yeah.
I know
Maybe
they're
there's
doing
something to that
something.
I always thought they were more important, than just useless drones.
Oh, they have
to be more to a
Otherwise,
drone.
when you looked in the hive, they would be over on the honey eating and not over on the larvae, moving every 2 seconds and stopping, moving and stopping, and moving and stopping and breathing. And through breathing, they transfer heat, which is how they do it in the cluster. They all jump together. And because their heart is a water hose shaped organ, starts from their brain and goes all the way down to their butt, they can put their heads in and they can stop letting the cold blood in and start circulating it through the muscles, vibrating the muscles, pushing it through to the head and circulating it round and round until they get so much heat on the inside that they can make themselves warm. And the tail part can actually, cool down to a lot. And that's because all the main organs are up in the thorax and brain, and they're all warm and taken care of when they're in that cluster.
I've not read the book, but I mentioned Huber. You guys were talking about that drone. He
when you said he
supposedly
was
was the
blind,
one
I
that
knew who he was.
discovered that about them exiting the drones at summer. So maybe in his book might be a little more information about that.
Yeah.
Well, whenever they hit a dirt, and you got to remember, man, these are tropical creatures. They're not natural where we've put them. Therefore, there will be periods they're not going to be getting what they would have gotten if they were in the subtropics. So, that's where we come in trying to find that balance with patties, supplements, sugar syrups, whatever. Every beekeeper is different, but whatever we can do to try to help that balance. That's what we try to do. But we got to all admit that some springs, some falls is just not made for our bees.
Yeah. Absolutely. I'll tell
It
you,
gets rough on them.
an exercise that they had me do in that course a couple weeks back, probably back in July, was
Who'd you take that
drones.
course through?
Marking drones. I mean, it was, I've never thought why, but it's so fascinating to watch how drones will go drift from hive to hive, watching the different colors. What you do is you open up your colony, You just, as you're working through in like probably like June, July time frame, just grab a drone. It's a good way to learn how to mark queens as well, because they're drones.
Amen.
You can pick them up very easily,
Play with
grab them
drones.
by the thorax, pinch them properly, do a mark, and drop them back down again, and keep doing it. And every time you inspect a hive, mark like 50 drones. And you'll notice over a
pinch
period
their
of a week or
bodies,
two,
leave
as
the
you're
wings alone.
inspecting, use the same color in each hive, or try to use consistent colors, or try to pick, this week I mark all orange or pink or whatever you got, blue. Mark the color the same, so then you can then watch that and see how they
Told
See
y'all
what's
he was
going
an
on.
experimenter. I told you he would do stuff like this.
Oh yeah, I love that stuff. I love it.
Me
Yep.
too, man. Me too. I marked that
Yeah.
feeder bee just to see if she was flying off and getting food, or if she was going in the hive and getting it.
Yeah.
So you say you notice a lot of drifting, huh, Jason?
Well, with the drones, they can. It's my understanding, based on research, that they can go from hive to hive. They're not
I've
stopped at the
noticed a
door.
lot of drifting.
Yeah,
because
and
my
so
bees
they
are
do
not
drift
black.
because I guess they're just looking for the most quantity of food in each. Again, I'm making a
Yeah.
lot of assumptions. I don't know the reason why they have a need to drift. They're not robbing anything, like to the point to where they're destroying stores. They're only going to go and access open honey. They don't cut through wax to and pillage it like a worker would. They would just go to open honey. And again, I've done more research on it, but
That's the least
it was fascinating
resistance.
to watch them. And
Maybe,
then
maybe
to go
not.
back earlier, let me go all the way back to the pollination cart, because you asked about the pollination
Yeah,
cart.
yeah, right.
So I had just started dabbling in that late last year. I bought these pollination carts from a gentleman, Delaware Bay Bees, Eric Thompson, here in Delaware. He's a commercial beekeeper, runs 500, 600, 700 hives. I don't know how many he has, but he moves his bees up and down the East Coast and does pollination. He does send them to California, things like that. He's a true commercial beekeeper like any other, right? And he had these carts when he first started commercial beekeeping that he had bought from a gentleman who did a local pollination. And there's a difference between putting them on a 4-way pallet, putting them on a trailer, and sending them across country, and bringing bees and putting them locally on, like, a local orchard,
Right.
local
Yes,
crop,
sir.
whatever it may be.
I
So
can
I
prove
kind
it
of negotiated with
scientifically.
him, how do I get one of these trailers? So he hooked me up with some equipment and a trailer, and I started to kind of clean it up and get it painted and paint the boxes and get all the equipment where they needed to be. And then this year was my first. Well, I've had 2 contracts this year, but my first real contract was moving those bees on watermelons, right?
And
Strawberries
the
and
Russian
watermelons.
guys kind of do something similar to that, right, Jason?
What's that?
The Russian guys, they make those carts like that and take them out to
Yeah.
different.
And these are, what's crazy is the gentleman who designed these, he's a local commercial guy. He used to run 1,500 hives. He's 82 years old. Oliver Collins. That man looks like he's 55. It's hilarious. When you talk to this guy, he's the sharpest as a tack. I mean, he is so smart. He likes to tinker. He can build you anything. I mean, and he's still going. Like,
Wow.
he was helping me with the hives when I was getting everything ready and getting them located and setting them up. He's running around like he's 55. I was like, you got to be kidding me, dude. I mean, it was crazy.
My dad's mom was a Collins.
Yeah, he's a
That's
good
cool.
dude and very fair, very handshake. He'll talk for hours about bees. So
Oh, yeah.
but these pollination carts kind of gone full circle on my conversation, which was I had marked a bunch of hives, a bunch of drones in my testing, and then I needed to fill the remainder of one of the carts because I needed 40 colonies for this watermelon contract, and I had 20 more colonies I had to put on the other side of one of the carts, right? So I had 10 that I had all these drones that were marked. It's interesting to see that when I put these drones on I put these 2 carts on, I think it had to be about 500 acres, maybe a little bit less, but about 500 acres of watermelons.
Wow.
And it had 40 colonies spread out, 2 carts at 2 different locations. And
You said 40?
Yeah, about 40 colonies. Yep.
About 40.
I don't know about the bees, but that makes my mouth water.
Yeah,
40 acres of watermelon.
500 acres.
Oh yeah, and it's crazy because so when I got them back, I had to go get them. They were there for 6 weeks, about 6-7 weeks, and then I would pull them back home. And I had them here at my apiary, and I'm going through and inspecting them. And when I did that, that was beginning of September. So as I'm going through them, there are bees, there are drone bees with the markings on them, all different colors across all colonies.
So just a
Even
mix.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yep.
They just
Wow.
maybe they
That's
don't want
They
to
go
wear out.
where they went. They go where they go, and it's so fascinating to see that.
They don't want to wear out their welcome, maybe.
Well,
I
I
don't
know
know.
my bees are Italians, and when I go through them in the summertime, there's a lot of real dark black bees that are not my bees that are in there with my bees. So they obviously that's just another way of spreading genetics, allowing the drones to drift.
And
But even
disease though too at the same time.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
think that, yeah, especially
Pretty
since
bad.
you see
Risk.
the drones hovering over top of your larvae going,
Hey, let me
I
ask you
don't know
this.
what they're doing, so I can't tell you.
Let me
Yeah.
ask you this, Jason. The when you the watermelon 6 weeks on the watermelons, does that, this is probably a dumb question, but does that provide nectar?
Not a
Or
lot.
okay,
Not a lot. So they're going to forage. I mean, it will provide nectar. When I put them out, I had the brood box, and then I had full, honey. They were solid on a single, and then I threw a super on top that was empty that I just recently harvested. So it was completely empty because I wanted to see if they would bring any in. And they're in a field of surrounded by watermelons. So they could get some
Right.
forage from the tree lines and things like that, but for the most part, they're on watermelons. And I just pulled a lot of those supers off a week or so ago, and some of the supers are heavy, and some of them are capped. So there is some nectar they're bringing in. It's a lot lighter of a honey, or that I see based on what I'm seeing. So it's interesting. It does
what
have a
about a
unique
take?
taste to it that none of my honey tastes like that, and that's different because that's probably 45 minutes from my apiary, and my honey tastes
Nice.
completely different than that
It'd
honey
be
that I
so
just pulled
awesome
out.
if there was a service
Yeah.
out there that could read our honey besides sending it to the USDA and waiting weeks and months.
Yeah. Yeah. It would.
Nobody
That, you
does
got
it.
Earl. You're preaching to the choir on that one. I've been saying that for freaking. I can't believe that we can't. We can't. I mean, there was two people there was one guy in Texas A&M that did it. It was like $75 a jar, but you send in 1 pound of honey, but it's I don't think he does anymore. I think he retired. And then I
I
think
would
Penn
do
State
it.
or someone up here does it, but I
Wouldn't
don't know
you?
how it works. Like I'm not sure.
I
I've
would
never
love
done
to
it.
know. That way I could sell my honey specifically and say it's this. That
Well,
would be so cool.
there's a caveat to that, and this is again based on my understanding.
There's some
They
stuff
can
in
only
there we
test for
don't
the
always
pollen.
like.
They can't test for the nectar source. They can only test for the pollen. So it's an assumption that they make that the nectar source
Oh,
that's in there is the same as the levels of pollen. So because they're looking for pollen molecules, and when they can
right.
define those, they'll say X percentage of the makeup of your honey had X percentage of this pollen. So then you have to make the assumption that if 80% or more is goldenrod, or 80% or more is Tupelo, then you can assume that the honey nectar, the nectar that's in there, is Tupelo, right? You can assume that
Right.
they have not figured it out, at least that I know of, the test honey for the nectar
Just
source per se.
just for the honey.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Gotcha.
Interesting.
That is.
Yeah.
That's
And
very interesting.
I want to give some science too, behind regional, and location.
Here you go.
We always
Oh,
preach
Clemson,
regional,
$50. Hold on.
regional.
Dennis,
Yep.
can you give us a link or some sort of a contact? Can you
Please.
send me a message on that?
Me too.
Yeah, that'd
Yeah.
be great. We'll post it if he's got a link.
Yeah.
See how many people want that service?
Yeah. I'd send every season, I'd send 2 or 3 jars just to understand what I got.
At least one. Yeah, just one at least.
Mm-hmm.
So we talk about beekeeping being regional. We talk about it being locational, and I want to give some science behind that. We talk about vitellogenin as being that substance that is more abundant in our winter bees and in our drones and in our queens. But there's 3 different types of vitellogenin, and one of them has a very specific and important role that, to me, completely explains regional beekeeping, at least a part of it. And the role of that vitellogenin is to carry pathogens that are localized to that queen to her eggs so that they are immunized, so to speak, to whatever pathogens that she is surrounded by. And so as those vitellogenin take those pathogens from the area that she's living in and give to those eggs, then her eggs, after she's mated, those eggs are specified to that region through their genetics because of the pathogen immunization from mother to daughter or son. um, which happened. And so it would obviously to me say that, yeah, beekeeping would be very regional, because if you bred your bee in another country and brought it to me, and those pathogens that she had over there aren't here, she's probably not going to do too good. Whereas if somebody like me orders them from, say, Georgia, they do excellent. It's We're all in the Appalachians, pretty much the same stuff. So, you know, it does contribute
Mm-hmm.
to what those bees are, what pathogens those bees can fight off, and viruses, so to speak, bacteria more than viruses. I'm sure.
I think that's a big piece of how we solve, and well, I don't think we ever solved the mite issue, but I think that's a big piece of it. We talk about mitigation of mites and reducing mite levels and doing things like that, but I think what you're saying, Earl, makes sense with the genetic side of it, right? Understanding which genetics have a propensity to fight off what the mites bring in, not the
Yeah,
mites.
and can we give them enough food that not only helps our bees, but give it to them in such abundance that the mite takeaway doesn't drag our bees down.
Right.
If they have an abundance of proline and vitellogen, and
Hmm.
the mite is feeding from the fat body, in the fat body is where the proline, vitellogens are stored. It's where all these aminocytes and good nutrition is, and so they're constantly sucking that up. Could we give them enough to where we could reduce the numbers low and not be drugged down by that 3 or 4%? At all, or could they live healthier, and could they get that level of homeostasis to where they can
Yeah.
combine and live
I don't think
harmoniously?
you're going
I
to ever
don't
be
know.
able to eliminate the
They
mite. I
did it
think
in
we just have
Apis
to make
cerana.
stronger bees.
Well,
Yeah,
speak,
Apis
What's that,
cerana
Jason?
done it.
Yeah.
oh,
I'm
what'd you say?
sorry, I didn't hear you.
I said, what was your question? I'm sorry.
Oh, I didn't hear what you just said. You was answering Earl, and I didn't hear it.
Oh, no, I was commenting on Earl. I said, I think it's a point to where we have to acknowledge that we're not going to stop the mites 100%. They're going to be here with us forever. We have to figure out how to make stronger bees, right? More
To
prolific
overcome
bees.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and speak.
That's the only two ways. They either have to learn to live with them, or we have
Yep.
to learn to nuke them, one to other. And since so far nuking them has become futile, then it only makes sense to have to learn with them, even though I don't like that. I hate the thoughts of that. But if we have to, we have to. Our kids still get lost when we send them to school.
Well, wax
We've
moth
yet to
used to be
stop
the
it.
scourge, of beekeeping.
Yeah. I look at wax
We've
moths.
yet to
I mean, it's
stop it.
different in every region, Houston. You're right. But I look at wax moths in my area as the doomsday, right? If I have wax moths in my hive is already, you know what I mean? I got too much space for them to manage. I got not enough, bee volume. And
Right.
that's a lot, actually how I manage my hives a lot is what I use the term is
Or,
bee
or
volume.
bad tracks and
And
rotty
beetles,
voids.
that's
They just
how we
find
are
every
the
inch.
same as
They've been and they actually, depending on time of year, I had commented on the stream team's comment last night because Ian had talked about some stuff on there, and I said, I wish I could have some pollen patty that I could put in the fall. I can't stick a pollen patty in my hives right now at all. If I did, forget it. I'd have explosions of beetles, and so I
right,
have to
right.
find ways to give them that pollen sub
Have have
and
you ever
not have
actually
the patty.
have you actually ever crushed up the peppermint candy and coated the pollen patty with it and
Carl, it's
then
funny you
shot it?
say that because I was talking to someone about that offline afterwards, which was getting some way to get what I would call a concentrated mixture of whatever I need to put together to give them the pollen sub they need, like the Ian was talking about, right? But
Yeah,
incorporate something like the crushed up peppermint that wards off keeps the beetles from getting to it enough time that the bees can eat it and consume it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's
Let me give
balance,
some
yeah,
right? It's
science.
balance.
yeah.
I can give you some science to peppermint as well. Peppermint
Yeah.
candy, as far as the science, peppermint oil is recommended by University of California as being beneficial to honeybee gut. Peppermint has no known chemicals that match any known bee pheromones. so you don't have a masking of any honeybee pheromones, regardless of the amount of peppermint. It stands separate from what the bees smell like. And peppermint is an absolute known deterrent of beetles and mites. Um, a peppermint spray can be used to um, kill all the dust mites on chickens. And so it is known. And it's in my belief that it can kill tracheal mites. It will rid the hive of small hive beetles. And I don't think it's a miracle worker for mites, but I think it's another tool that works against them. And
Yeah,
in
Yeah.
my opinion, every little bit helps.
I
And
agree.
I know it's hard keeping those peppermints in the hives, but I've come up with ways of putting 5 and 6 together in a bit of a hardware cloth and laying it in there, and they eating it just fine. And I can go in a week later and put me 5 or 6 more in. But I
Mhm.
can
I'm gonna
tell you
look for
this:
some of those big candy canes at Christmas. You know, the big
I
chunk
have
candy.
no beetles, and I can take you into my hive anytime, and you would just be mad at me because I don't have beetles, ants,
Jason, I've noticed a significant
or
I
difference
got
drones.
beetles too. Yeah, I got them.
I've
What's
noticed
that,
a
John?
significant I've noticed a significant difference by using peppermint oil, one teaspoon in a 5-pound batch of homemade pollen patties. It gives me a few more days. Last year, 5 days, I better get it out of there. This
Yeah,
year, 7, 8, 10 days, no
still
to
doing
maybe
good.
1 or 2 larvae, and then I just freeze it, And so
Yeah.
I mean, if you ever try it, just try it on one hive because you may have a worse problem with them than me. But I here just in my location,
Well,
it made a noticeable difference.
I've been very fortunate, honestly, with the beetles. And as much as I know they're a nuisance, if I introduce the pollen patty in the fall, then I have beetles. But if I
Yeah.
don't, then I typically don't. And where I do have beetles, I use the mechanical devices I call to remove them. Right. So I'm a big fan of on my nukes, my smaller,
If you've
hive
ever
bodies.
had
I
them,
use
you don't
the
want them
Guardian.
again, do you?
Oh
What's
It's
that?
man,
scary.
The
Beetles are
Guardian.
scary.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He said if you ever had them, you don't want them again. I mean, it's a
No, yeah, no.
nasty,
I mean, I
slimy.
still get them. I just keep them. I keep them out as best as possible. So I use
Right.
the Guardian beehive entrance thing. I use
Yeah.
those on my nukes, and I use screen inner covers, which is not common to what most people use. Most people won't
Screened
use.
intercovers.
I live and die by screen inner covers. I would think when the group was able to come out here back when I had my BBQ a couple weeks back, and we were going through the yard, they said, this is interesting because we've never seen the usage of that on a hive, and I say I use it on every single hive. Is that screen inner cover? It's just to me it's a way for me to observe my bees without getting into the hive. Kind of the concept of that cloth laying over it,
Absolutely.
where you can lift the hive up,
Absolutely.
but you can see, and you can see where the bee volume is. You can see where the bees are working, and the best part is the screen is it's a hardware cloth, so the bees will force the small hive beetles up through the hardware cloth, and they get trapped in that rim in the top of the above the screen inner cover. So the beetles just sit up in the corner up there, never in the hive. And I lift the lid, I can see my bees, and I can take my hive tool and go squish, 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 and they're dead. And so
Oh,
it's
nice.
never having an issue with them getting
I,
out of
I,
control
for,
because that
I
screen inner
forgot
I
cover
what a
is
use
used.
small hive beetle looks like. Can y'all got a picture of one? That's been so long since I've seen
Yeah,
one.
You
I
remember?
can throw one up here. Hang on one second and see if I can share or not.
I'm
Johnny,
just
if you go to
I'm being facetious. I
oh,
apologize.
sorry.
Yeah, where I use feed sacks, they kind of corral them up on top of the frames.
Yeah.
They propylize,
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. In
But
little prisons they put
I'd
them,
rather
and then when I go in there, they release them all.
right,
I
yeah.
want.
That's why rather have that like you're talking about. Keep them out, maybe. I'd
Yeah.
give that a try.
So Jason, you got a store? You have an
Yeah, I do.
apiary? Tell us
Yeah, I
about your
do.
store and your apiary that you have, because you've got things in your apiary like nobody else has. So I can't wait to hear about it.
Yeah, so I have I have a whole host of things. I got a store that I sell both online, and then I have some place to have people come and take and buy things. Usually by appointment only. I don't have a storefront per se, but I do have an ability to keep stuff in stock and have people who do pickups and all that. And then I have kind of referring to some of that odd stuff you're referring to, Earl. I have some unique ways that I would say, tried to keep bees based on people asking me to do tests for them and such. There was a gentleman out of New York, Mark Waring, who had designed a style hive that's been coined called the rocket ship hive, right? And that's what everybody keeps calling it. But it's really just his design to be able to try to keep bees in a different way. It's a cavity, almost like a fallen tree would be, and it opens up, and there's all the frames are staggered down.
I brought you here on purpose so that I could say, I brought you here on purpose to say that you didn't have any rocket fuel for your rocket.
There you go. See?
Hey, speaking of that, guys, I hate to interrupt so bad, but speaking of that, we're getting way along here now, and on this, there's a giveaway tonight that Gunline Bees put out a video a few days ago, and it was an awesome idea. Anybody that commented on there with their favorite Bible verse could enter in, unless they already had some product. But they're giving away a pack of Apis Biologic Biocontrol. And so I've seen them in the chat, and so we're hoping that they've got a link to the show. We're hoping that they'll come in anytime they're ready. I'd like for them to come in before we pull up the wheel of names. I've already got we had a dozen entrants, and it was really cool idea. So hopefully they can be a part of it. But hey, sorry to interrupt, but y'all go ahead and go back talking. We'll wait on Tim and Hannah to come in if they can.
Love Tim and Hannah.
Yeah, me too.
And I love watching you go through your apiary too. Jason, you explain things well. I mean, you said you like listening to me. I like listening to you. I like how you talk.
Yeah, me too. Me
too. That stuff helps me, man, when I can understand and it ain't out of my reach.
Well, I'll tell you what, when I first started doing stuff on YouTube, I watched the same ones everybody else watched, right? So Vino Farm and the Fat Bee Man and over at Barnyard Bees, and I watched all these videos and I thought, I just felt like I wanted to be able to capture what I was teaching in my classes to local people in some sort of a format. And so I just did it as if I'm teaching a class. So if there's 20 people standing in front of me and I'm standing in my apiary and I'm explaining a product or I'm explaining a technique or whatever
it works well.
And that's how it can. Yeah, I'm not trying to do anything more than I can do. And I say all the time, like Mike Berry says, this is not a how-to. This is how I do. Right. I don't need to apologize for that because Crispin, Jason, he gets on me a little bit because he's like, why do we always have to apologize? He said, just say this is what I would think. And I said, Jason, I was like, I just don't want people to think that I'm prescribing anything to them. They need to go out and take what I give, what Earl gives, what Johnny gives, what Shelton gives, and
you talk to Jason Christmas,
their own idea of what they need. They don't need to just take my word for it. So that's why I say that. But I kind of moved away from saying that after he kind of got on me a little bit about it. And I appreciate that feedback from him because he's a good dude.
I love Jason Christmas.
Well, we'd love to get him on sometime.
Yeah, he won't do nobody's shows. I know. He won't even do it live.
Yeah.
Well, I would say don't hold your breath on that. I think he's just kind of sitting and waiting and watching. He's a smart guy.
He's awesome.
Not talking me to it sometimes.
He'll pop in at some point.
That'd be awesome.
Great guy.
Maybe you can get him on. Maybe you can get him on your show. You're live, Jason.
I reached out to him, and I just I didn't. He didn't respond back. So, but oh well. I mean, I know he's a busy man, and it would be pretty much an honor for me to have him.
Oh yeah, sure.
As best I know, he's never done a live.
Yeah,
I've watched him.
Dream Team's been at him for a long time.
I've watched them for years. Yeah. While I was just learning, right? And they had some great
I've watched him 10 years. Yeah. He's been on a long time.
Yeah. And real quick, Jason, I want to tell you, Tim and Hannah's in the green room. We're going to bring him in just a second. And that's going to be so awesome for everybody to see them. You did a video a while back where you used a leaf blower to blow the bees out of a super. So impressive, man. I tried that. It worked. Of course, I was suited up for sure. And it worked like magic. But I think I'm going to try.
I use a combination of a leaf blower and fume board. So I'll drop fume boards on top and let them get as many out as they can. And then I'll flip them up on its end and I blow the bees the direction so that when they go out, they come back to the front edge of their hive. If
Okay,
you do
cool.
it in another direction, then they go nuts all around you, and then
Yeah.
you just
All in the air.
go, and and it becomes
That
chaotic.
makes sense.
Yeah, I should have watched the video again because I made multiple mistakes. And, it did. I thought I'd caused a robbing frenzy for a while, but the next day it seemed like everything was okay.
Yeah, you
But,
got. I typically don't blow bees in a dearth. I go when they're coming out of it. There's still a flow.
Yeah.
I won't blow bees if there's a dearth, like a heavy, like right now. You're playing with fire when you blow bees like that.
Makes good sense. It was a few weeks ago. There was a pretty good flow. Had lots of yellow crownbeard blooming, lots of goldenrod. But still, though, it scared me. I thought I'd really messed up. But that's what I get for only watching the video once, man. It takes a while for me to process information.
Nice.
But anybody out there
Me
hadn't seen
too,
that video,
Josh.
it's awesome. Go check it out. Hey, we're bringing in our favorite couple here, Gunline
Yes,
Bees. How y'all doing?
What do you say,
Guys.
folks?
Howdy,
Good,
howdy.
Good to see y'all.
Yes, y'all too.
Hey, why don't y'all tell them a little bit about your idea that you had, which is I thought was just so awesome, and you know what we're about to do here.
Man, like we said on the last run, we had a little bit of extra change, and when we ordered ours to, test run to see how things was going to go, we figured, well, let's order one more, and we can do a giveaway for anybody that hadn't been able to purchase any yet, kind of thing. And so
Very cool.
Fellowship going.
that's it. Like I said, the fellowship, more or less. Wasn't asking nobody to subscribe, anything like that. But we do appreciate the ones that come on board. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
But
yeah, you should subscribe if you're not, because they have a great channel.
Great show. Yeah.
Lots of good
Yeah.
videos, and they're a husband and wife team that it's very inspirational to watch their videos.
I'm a subscriber.
I mean,
Thank
too.
you.
I think we all are on the screen here.
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah, man.
I appreciate all y'all, man. But more so, like I said, just kind of spread the fellowship a little bit.
I love the idea, Tim. It was wonderful. And so
Yeah.
what I was able to do is we had 12 men. There was a lot more people that put Bible verses in. And if you hadn't seen that video, you can go and read everybody's comments. And I thought it was so cool because it had me looking up some of the Bible verses that people were putting on there. And so, you never know when you're going to be able to plant a seed, but we had 12 entries, and I was able to put the Bible chapter and verse that was the person's favorite, or the one that they really liked. And so if it's okay with y'all, I'll go ahead and share the wheel of names now.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
All right. Okay, here we go. Like I say, we had 12 entries. Give everybody, if you folks are present, I'm assuming you don't have to be present to win. I think you said that, didn't you, Tim and Hannah?
No, the only thing is just send us an email at gunlinebees, Gmail. Just give me your address. We don't need anything else but the place you want it sent to. That's all we need.
All right, that sounds fantastic, guys. Well, if everybody's ready, we'll go ahead and spin, and see who the lucky winner is. Again, this is for remind us, this is for one pack of the Apis Biologics Biocontrol. You can mix this in. It's 1/8 of a teaspoon per gallon, and it'll make, 264 gallons, if I remember right.
No, what we've got, we'll do the 52.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, okay. Yeah, the 50, excuse me, which is obviously that's a lot for most of us hobby beekeepers. And so, okay, all right, here we go, folks.
Wait,
57 Thunder Chief. Okay. And that was one, the Book of Ruth, Love and Commitment. Hannah may not be able to share that whole book with us. for this.
One on that one.
That's a good one.
Hey, congratulations, 57 Thunder Chief.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. Just shoot us that email, give us your info, and we'll get it mailed to you next day or two.
That's awesome.
Thank y'all so much. It's very inspirational. Again, everybody, if you hadn't had a chance, go over, check out that
Thank you
video
very
and look at some of the comments. And if you're not familiar, there was some great, a lot of, John 3:16, of course, came up a lot, but a fantastic idea. And thank y'all so much.
My mom's in the chat. Y'all have to figure out who she is.
Oh, awesome, man. You ought to get her on the live, Earl. Get her to come in, buddy.
Oh, she wouldn't do it.
Well, she did a video with you.
Well, yeah, that's just luckily she didn't know she was doing a video with
That
me.
was awesome. That was so awesome, man. She didn't?
Well, I don't know if she knew it was going to be on or not, but yeah.
You were fussing on her
We
about the
might
pepper.
get her on here. I don't know.
You were fussing on her about the peppermints a little bit. I thought that was a real good exchange y'all had, man.
Y'all lucky y'all didn't see me get punched in the head or something. That's what she usually does.
Hey, she'd have tuned you up. She didn't know you was videoing her then, I guess.
Yeah, I might have eaten a smoker and not meant to.
Cool. Well, good deal. Well, Tim and Hannah, how y'all been?
We've been blessed, y'all. Just trying to make it like everybody else, but things are going well.
Good deal.
We just get a little more rain down here, we'll be all right.
You can have some of my rain. I'll send it your way.
Brother, send it on.
We need it.
I know you had some bees that just couldn't stay. They keep going backwards and forth on you. What's the matter with them?
I don't know. We at day 6. Yeah, day 6. And they still.
Oh, they're still in the tree. Still in the tree?
Still in the tree.
Bees do what they want.
What's that, Earl?
Bees do what they want. They're weird like that.
You got that right.
Jason Chrisman did a video. Y'all probably saw that they were built up in the tree like that. He just tried everywhere in the world to get them to come down.
Them power lines had him blocked, didn't they?
Yeah, he didn't want to get up. It was pretty high up, close to a power line.
Mm-hmm.
Man, we've tried every little trick. We doing the swarm trap and the lemongrass oil. And old DC remind us of the Russian sky and brother.
Got there, put some bluegrass gospel on, and let it play real loud. Let that banjo bring them in with a twang.
Yeah, I think they did do. I think I heard y'all trying that. Did you not?
Well,
metal on metal.
Yeah.
Look,
I tried that once too. They kept on flying.
I was just a thought.
We done the tanging one time, and it worked.
We got a really big swarm like that.
Well, on the newest video we just put out, trying to day 3 and 4, however many days we was into it, they was coming back down for one of their many downward trips for whatever reason. So I told her, I said, I'm gonna start tanging again. So, maybe they'll finally come on down.
Right.
So she picks the phone up and she starts recording me beating on the hive tools.
The bees coming down.
Yeah, just in case, if it had worked, that would have been awesome.
Well,
that's what I was thinking.
She recorded about 10 seconds of it.
Couldn't take it.
We couldn't take it, so we cut it down to about 2 or 3 for y'all.
Yeah. It wasn't enough for me. I needed more. I needed more tang, like more cowbell on that Saturday Night Live thing.
It was bad.
No, man, we've been watching them, and they've split apart up there in the tree, turned into 2 different colonies, if you will.
Wow.
Then they've merged back together today, and we don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah.
It's cool they've hung out that long. Sorry, John.
No, that's okay, Houston. I interrupted you there. I was just kind of curious. What's y'all's nighttime temperatures down there now? Y'all are way on down in southern Alabama, right?
Yeah, we're on the coast. Well,
yeah,
just
right.
north of
Real close. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So you still get some warm nights
for the most part.
In the mid-50s for a little.
Oh, mid-50s.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But then it's upper 80s during the day. So
maybe they'll come down for y'all. It may be like Jason's colony though. They finally just left.
I reckon, like I say, we're going on day 6. We just kind of hung it up. So if they come in and they settle, we'll show y'all. If y'all don't see anything, you know what happened.
They're gonna get hungry after a while.
That's what
it might be why they're hanging out.
Well, we we was out in everybody the other day, and we was taking little small pieces of pollen sub for the colonies that are struggling. Well, we had left, I don't know, some small little blocks, maybe like 1-inch blocks on the table we sit at. And we come out the next day and we noticed, I don't know, a good little cluster of bees pulling on it. And that's what we was thinking. Well, shoot, they've been up there 4 or 5 days. They probably getting hungry, so maybe this will draw them down too. But I don't know if anybody else has got a better idea on something. Let us know.
Got a shotgun?
Shotgun, yeah.
Oh, that was guess Mitchell's old method.
Yes. We just got her a new one, so that's a great excuse to do it. I mentioned it the other day, but yeah, we'll
shoot
do
the limb out.
Bob said put some old comb in a double nut. Try it. There's all kinds of things you can try. I don't know. Seem like they get, I don't know. They don't do what you think they're going to do all the time, though, do they? They think different.
How high up is it?
They're about 40 feet up in a water oak.
Pretty high.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It looked high from the video anyway.
Yeah, it did. I thought it was higher than 40 feet just from the video.
Me too.
But here's something else one of you guys may be able to answer too. This swarm, whenever they do swarm, you know how we'll say a springtime swarm, you got that loud hum, you know what's happening outside. These have been real quiet. You can hear them, but it's just a low hum about them.
I mean,
They try
even
to
in
sneak off.
back and forth, they've been just calm as can be.
Maybe why they've been there so long and they're kind of settling, kind of coming out of swarm mode.
They probably have brood by now, so they're not going to leave the brood.
Yeah, probably.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
They'll lay up
That's a
there and
good-
die.
that's a good point.
They're making them an open air up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they'll freeze to death. What they'll do.
They'll be doomed here in a few weeks, won't they?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it really usually don't freeze around here till at least December or so.
Well, they might be all right. I mean, that is true. A lot of the, I know the African bees are big on open nest, and they seem to survive Arizona, Florida, places like that just fine. So, I mean, it can be done.
Do you get a lot of swarms, Jason?
What's that?
You get a lot of swarms?
I catch swarms with swarm traps, and then I do get occasionally a swarm or two. I have what I call the giving trees in the tree line, where over the years I've had either feral swarms that have kind of moved in nearby because they're attracted to the amount of hives that I have in my apiary. I mean, they bees, if there's feral colonies, they're attracted to the apiary because of the scent. So I get them on occasion in the apiary.
How do you deal with it?
In the community too, so I'll go out and collect swarms and do cutouts and all that mess.
How do you bait your traps, Jason?
Well, for years I've used various things like Swarm Commander and stuff, and then up until about a year ago, I made my own special sauce.
Special sauce,
amazing. Yeah,
secret recipe.
Do tell.
Not really a secret recipe, but there's elements in it that I believe are more appealing than just a standard either lemongrass or Swarm Commander. I mean, I've introduced like your basic foundation, which is like your lemongrass oil. There's Nasnoff gland in it. There's propolis in it. There's old queens. Like when I pinch a queen, or if I have a queen that that I'm removing from a hive that don't make it, she'll go in the jar. And I'll have hundreds of queens that's been steeping in that jar for years.
Wow!
So I take all that together and blend it.
Just telling Gunline that.
What's that?
I was just telling Gunline the other night about that. Putting old queens in alcohol like that.
Yeah. I'll have a bunch of jars at Hive Life, little mini sample jars. So if you guys want to get one, let me know.
Oh, awesome. Awesome.
Well, I want one.
Yeah, I'll be there.
Hey, I'll be the first to say it.
And you're having good success with it.
I haven't started selling it. I just use it, right? So I just be using it.
No, I meant use, yeah.
Yeah, use. So I'll give you an example. I don't really get swarms in my area past August, mid to late August. Like I don't ever really see a swarm. It's very rare that I see one. and I still have swarm traps in my apiary. I'm a big fan of having a swarm trap or two based on the number of hives that I have, just as a precaution, like an insurance policy.
Just in case. Yeah,
Yep.
me too.
And there was one that had been there through the whole season, never was worked, never had bees in it, didn't get picked up anything. And I just had one, a vial with me. I said, you know what? Let me just see if any bees start checking this out, see how well this stuff does. And I put a couple drops on the entrance and 2 or 3 drops on the inside on the frame, shut it up. When you know it, 3 days later, I had a freaking swarm in that swarm trap.
That's what I'm talking about.
What month was that? What month was that, Jason?
That was beginning of September, end of August.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
It's late.
Late. That is late. You sucked them right over there.
She's a mated queen, and she's doing just fine. They're building up. That was the swarm that I put in the horizontal hive that I got from Ricky. I literally just pulled the frames out. She already was laying eggs. They already started filling it because their bellies were full of nectar. And so I dropped 2 frames of resources in, throw a frame in the middle, and some drawn comb for her to build out on, and they're doing wonderful in that little nook inside that
took off.
Yeah.
Nice. So the proof's in the pudding then.
Yeah. Go figure, right?
Yeah, success. I've had good luck like that. I just lemongrass and no queens, and alcohol, but I've always had good luck. Except this year. I didn't catch any swarms this year. I don't know, just crazy. I even used, some of the old spots like you was talking about, kind of bee tree, that always gets a swarm. Just I didn't catch anything, man.
It's hit or miss those years. Yeah, I think they swarmed real early this year in my neck of the woods. I mean, a lot of people were catching swarms early, and then they kind of paired off. There wasn't much activity.
Right.
The weather plays a big role in it. The buildup of the colonies. A lot of colonies. 2 years ago, we had a lot of losses in this area. People were losing like 60 and 70% of their apiary. And it was just because the winter was so wet and cold, and it fluctuated up and down, and it was long. Right. It murdered on the bees. And so a lot of people lost their colonies. But then this past winter, we had a mild winter, and it was a shorter winter and mild. And our bees came out in the early spring. And so we had to I made splits real early. I started doing a lot of things like that, and I kind of curbed the swarming mentality. But I do also use things like, I'm a big believer in slatted racks. I'm a big believer in giving them the proper space so they don't get clogged up in the brood nest. I think people were like, well, why? That's just another gimmick, another bolt on to the hive. I said, well, you got to think of the logic behind it, right? And if you've never used a slatted rack, and the concept of the proliferation of pheromones in a hive that keeps a hive queen right, or gives them the propensity to think they need to swarm, if you cut out a variable, meaning the clogging of that, right, you already help with that process, right?
Well, I give you another benefit
on all of them.
Most all my hives, even my nukes, I use slatted racks.
Another benefit to the slatted rack is, as you look in, and if you've ever had one, a way of looking at your hives with thermals.
Yep.
Which I had one, I gave it away, but I learned a lot. And what I learned is there are layers, atmospheres, I call them. And when you can look at the bottom where the queen will stop laying, and it just is flat, and it kind of curves up. That's that atmosphere. She says this is as warm as it gets. But when you have that slatted rack and you raise that up, she can come on down just a little bit more.
That's right.
And make it a little more rounded. And it helps the atmospheres inside the hive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never used them, but I always, wanted to try them.
Yeah, I would say if you got a couple hives, you can try them on and see how they do in your area. It doesn't hurt. I just have great success with them. So.
And that's year round?
Year round.
You watch that bird.
I'm going to get shot here. I know it. I'm going to get the police here, but I use screen bottoms, slatted racks, screen inner covers year round on single deeps.
Wow.
Single deeps.
And I have less than 20% losses every winter.
And you
that's
slide
your
in
location.
Your screen bottom boards has that in the wintertime. You slide in that piece of.
Don't use it.
Oh, you don't.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that blows my mind.
Yep. Now, when it gets down below freezing, when it hits like 5 degrees or below zero,
Yeah.
I'll go out and I'll make sure I put that in.
Okay.
Now that's the only point in time I'll put that in. Otherwise, if I'm testing for Varroa or if that's when I'll use it. Otherwise, it's because I have that slatted rack. It picks it up off about an inch.
Yeah.
But so the key with it is that I think, in my opinion, having that open screen bottom board, and this is just my opinion, it gives a better mite drop that gets the mites out of the hive, right? So if you get those mites out of the hive, you get them to push the small hive beetles through the screen, you get the dirt and the grime that builds up on the bottom that the wax moths can lay in, it gets it out of the hive and allows them to be a healthier colony because they're getting all that that stuff out of the hive, right? And that's
right.
That's why I use them.
And so, so you have good. You said screened intercovers too. So there's lots of ventilation going out the top. You don't even have insulation in the top.
Oh, I do. No, in wintertime, I'll put on. So I'm a very big fan of the Be Smart lids.
Okay.
And, I mean, I do use other lids too. Believe me, I have 75 plus colonies, so I use different variations of stuff. But for the most part, my standard setup is that screen bottom, slatted rack, single deep, screen intercover, and then I use the insulated cover, which is made by Be Smart Designs, because there's a cavity in that plastic lid that deadens the air. It deadens the air, so if the sun hits it and it's too hot, it'll cool it. If the winter hits the outside of it, the dead air inside will warm it. So it keeps it kind of in a constant temperature in that top of that beehive.
Okay.
I watch the trash dumps for a good old fashioned couch beside the road, and when I do, I raid the cushions.
Yeah, that works
it's
great.
6 inches of foam.
And then, since
I used to wrap all my hives. I used to do the same. I used to wrap every single one of my hives. And then when I got more than 50, I can't. There's no way I can do it.
And you're seeing similar loss. You're seeing similar survival rates.
That's interesting because I was worried that I was using quilt boxes and wraps around my hives, like every single hive every year. And then over time, as I had more and more hives, that equipment became more and more expensive because you can build your own quilt box. And I've done a video on how to build kind of we'll call it a hillbilly quilt box or a shorebilly, because you can take a suit, throw a screen intercover, put some tape around it, put some pine shavings, and boom, you got a quilt box, right? So there's ways to do things, but I even stopped doing that because I found that it's just too intensive to kind of get all this equipment and shift that equipment every year, and where I'm moving my bees and different setups, so I don't bother with that, and the losses are the same. So
I just use 2-inch foams. All I put on mine.
I do like the foam on top. I found good results when you have that top barrier of foam.
Yes, sir. I have to agree.
Of course, the
heat's
going
to. Yep.
I have to have something.
The heat's going to rise in the winter and then collect in there, and so the screen bottom board, I guess, doesn't let a lot of cold air in. It gives them ventilation. The mice can drop. I would have worried to death my bees would have froze to death without that slit in there.
Yeah. But I would never tell anybody that that's what they'd have to use.
Oh, I understand.
Because you'd have to test
it works for you. It works for you.
See, I can't use them where I'm at. I have to use a solid in the winter.
Yeah.
Because I did try the screen bottom board, but never with the slatted racks. That might be all the difference.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one interesting thing that I don't know if there's any empirical evidence on this, but my mite test this year, I had higher mites in my solid bottom board setups than I did my screen bottoms.
Really?
I mean, if that's evidence you're looking for, I mean, that's why I believe in them. I mean, it wasn't zero, believe me.
Right.
I mean, everybody has 1 to 2 to 3 mites.
Anything that helps.
Right.
But if I was looking at a screen when I do my testing, I do it like how Cayman and others do the testing, where you're taking a frame out of the brood's nest looking for the queen, shake it into a bin, and then let the bees fly up that are
nurse bees only.
And the rest that are left in the bin are your nurse bees and everything that works the comb, the brood's nest. And they're the ones that are going to have the mites on them, right? So I take them, dump them, and wash them.
Yeah, makes sense.
Absolutely. I still
you've got it dialed in. That's pretty good.
Yeah, he apparently does.
For your location.
Over time.
You're up in Maryland, ain't it? Northern Maryland or Southern Maryland?
I'm in Maryland.
North or south, or is Maryland not big enough to worry about that?
Good question. I'm on the eastern shore of Maryland, so that's where the shorebilly comes from. So if you look at Maryland, there's Maryland, right? I'm on. There's a the Chesapeake Bay comes up through here. I'm on this side of the Chesapeake Bay.
Cool.
Yeah. There's a map on his website. I'm gonna pull up his website so we can share the link
Good
with
fishing
everybody.
country.
What's that again, Earl?
Good fishing country.
Very good hunting and fishing country. I'm in rural part of Maryland. I'm not at. No,
Yeah,
I'm not near
man.
that place over there in the trigger. We'll say.
Over there where the Ben Franklin Bridge is and all that.
Now I'm actually south. No, you Chesapeake City. If you're familiar with Maryland and Chesapeake City, that I'm south of Chesapeake City. I had a map somewhere around here.
Yeah,
I had a buddy of
everybody,
mine from Meade, Maryland.
John, that's my link.
yeah, I know. Because I just put it's I just used the comment screen to put in
Okay.
the link
I'll tell
to
you guys a fun fact about that video in the background of my website. This is a fun fact that I fell upon. I recorded this video. This is one of my from a couple years back. If you watch this video, and I can get a clear one and send it to you guys, right here on the front of the hive, down here where the Y is, right there is what appears to be a mite crawling on the white.
I saw that. I see it,
and it literally attacks it and goes, and like they literally attacks it, like it's crazy. And that I do have Corey's mite biter, old mite biter strain when I was recording this in my apiary. So
Man, I'd have that cut out, and I'd be playing that everywhere.
Yeah, it was crazy.
I'd like to see that. How long does it take to catch it?
What was that, Earl?
How long in is it before the mite does that?
Does
Has he
what?
got a timeline before you can see the mite?
On the video you can see.
Send it to you guys.
Yeah, you can barely see it, Earl, crawling around there.
I can't see too
That's
good.
the cool thing about video and
if you
everything.
caught that, Johnny, I'm impressed. I'm impressed if you caught that.
No, I saw it. Let's see. Right there, see it?
It's right here in the Y.
Yeah, it was hauling it right up through here. What
Is it running around?
No, it's just sitting there, and they just attack it.
Let's refresh that and see if we can see it.
I wish I had the better video of it here that I could share. I'll send you guys. Because that's
Man,
just
y'all got some good eyes.
and it's a
Yeah,
fast.
Hey, wasn't that it right
get
there?
it, girl.
Yeah, that was it right there. See it?
No, I don't see it.
They all attack. Well, maybe I'm looking at it a little bit.
I'm even using the bifocals, Johnny, and I still can't see it.
And what's funny is the bee gets on it. It's like somewhere around the Y. The bee gets on it, picks it up, and takes it away. It's like crazy.
Yeah. You'll have to watch it.
Yep.
Yeah, go to Bohemia Apiaries. And,
Go
slow
to
it
the
down there where
website.
you
That
guys
way you
can
can pull
see
it up full screen. I got the benefit of seeing it full screen here.
Yeah, that may be what it is.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We'll be
Well,
going.
anyway,
check.
cool website. Cool website, Jason.
We'll call it
Really
that
cool.
anyway. Yeah, that's what it was.
What was that, Tim?
I said we'll definitely be going to check it out. It done piqued our interest. Going to have to find that mic.
Yeah, me too.
Well,
Oh, hey, man, that was smart.
I'll find the video.
Jason, that was smart, man. It's like Where's Waldo? You know, keeps
Okay.
people looking at your website.
Like that time on Cajun, he seen that mite walking across his frame. I said, "Why didn't you kill it?" He said, "I was so freaked out. I was getting it on video. I didn't even think about killing it." He said,
Yeah, that's some great footage, but it got away, didn't it?
"Yeah."
Hey, if
Man,
we
it's
can.
been awesome. Go ahead, Tim. Sorry.
Oh, I was going to say if we can go back and touch on the queens and crushing the queens and adding them for a lure.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all were saying you can just keep stacking them into your jar, so it don't matter how many
Yep.
queens you can put in that jar.
No.
Yeah,
Any
I
as you
actually
want.
confirmed with someone at Penn State. They said that if you take like alcohol, right, and there is a point in time when that pheromone transmission can still exist in that mixture, meaning like you can pull it out. Now, if you have that dead queen and it's dried out, or it's been sitting, or it's it won't do anything. But if you pinch a queen,
That
like if you have a
alcohol.
queen that's a weak queen, and you put it in that tincture and she dies immediately, you will get some of that transmission of pheromone into that tincture. So I imagine that by the law of multiples, You could put several 50 to 100 queens in a tincture or whatever, and keep shaking it, keep doing it, and you will have some of that element. I mean, it's not the rock, it's not golden, silver bullet, but it'll
Right,
be
right.
something.
Well, you see the guys doing it. That's all they use.
Well, I'll tell you, old school guys that have been doing it for years, these older beekeepers, that's what they use. They didn't have the lemongrass. They had just alcohol, rubbing alcohol, and they throw their old queens in there. That's what they use for bait.
Yep.
Wow.
So
No doubt.
Hey, it worked.
Yeah, it works.
There's lots of videos out there where guys are doing that.
yeah, I didn't come up with it. I just tried to replicate it.
Oh yeah. That was, well, I don't know if I saw videos where people were saving a bunch of them over a long period of time. I mean, it makes sense because you're gonna have different pheromones, right? And
yeah,
from different queens.
Well, like I say, I'd never heard about it. We never heard about it. Then talking to Houston the other night, he had mentioned he had heard it through one of his mentors or, somebody in the beekeeping world.
Yeah, an old timer I met.
We usually get the best info from.
That's usually the goodest info, ain't it? And I say goodest on purpose.
Oh yeah, listen to them old timers, y'all.
That's right. They got some wisdom.
Yeah, I didn't get to keep my papaw long enough. I said I was forced into beekeeper. That's all kind of. I got stung when I was about 5 years old, and I was scared of bumblebees and everything after that. And they took me right down there to Papaw's beehive, set me in chair beside of him, and said, "Here, you gonna get over that, boy." I did.
Tell him Earl about the whipping you delayed that time.
Yeah, Mommy got at me gonna whoop me one time, but I done got used to them bees with Papaw. We was the only ones could be around them, so I hid in between. I think it was 3 and 4 or 4 and 5, I don't know, and hunkered down, and she couldn't get me, and she stood over at that switch. You come out there, you come out there. I said, ain't happening. Papaw just laughing at her. She finally got mad and went home, but when Daddy got off work and come home, he wasn't so scared of them bees like Mommy.
Justice delayed, but not denied.
Oh yeah, the butt whooping, it came just much later.
It
was worth it.
Jason, you've been awesome, brother.
I bet your mom laughs about that now, though. Earl, you got to get her on here sometime.
Thanks, man.
Now she might tell y'all stuff about me I don't want you to know.
Well, that's why we need to get her on.
That's why I ain't. Yeah, y'all really be laughing at me.
Yeah.
Jason, you want to tell everybody about your live again, what times and everything that's coming on?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I appreciate it. So we're doing 8 o'clock Eastern time next Wednesday, the 19th. We will have approximately 30 some odd guests throughout the course of about 2.5 hours. We will, have probably about $3,000 or $3,500 in beekeeping equipment given away.
Wow.
We have, probably 4 to 5, 6 vendors that are coming online as well on the stream that are actually going to, talk. So it's just going to be a fun. And I actually have a few beekeepers that I've known and I've kept in contact with that are not well known in the YouTube space. Maybe they have small channels that I'm bringing in. You guys have probably heard of a few of them. With Bearded Bee Man and Clark's Bees and such. B&K Bees. All these guys that don't get that exposure. I want to try to get in there. That's why I'm inviting you guys. I want you to get that exposure.
Sounds like future guests.
So
yeah, that's
future
awesome,
guests,
man.
what
We
it sounds like
appreciate
to
it.
me. Yeah, man.
And before we forget it, I just put up a link to Jason's YouTube channel, Bohemia Bees. Again, more than likely, most of y'all are subscribed. If you're not, go over and show him some love. Subscribe to him. He's at 9.88 thousand right now, so he's knocking on the door 10,000. That's a big hurdle. Hey, we're so proud of you, Jason. Been watching you since, like you said, you started out with just a few, and next thing you know, bam, you're 1,000, and now knocking on 10,000. So congratulations, brother.
Yes.
Yeah, one thing they have to do in order to win something, just make sure I put that out there, is I have a form. If you go to, and I can put a link in the description or give you guys there's a link that you fill out to get entered. That's how I'm organizing, giving away all these things. Because it'd be one thing to do the wheel and just have people type in a hashtag or just randomly pick someone, but kind of like you guys did with the biologics, you kind of have to have that sort of preparation before in order to organize it.
Right.
So I have people fill out a
Right,
basic
right.
form. It's just their name and, email address and phone number or something to get a hold of them. And
Sure.
I've got a list right now of, let me just look. Currently right now, there are 223 people registered to win stuff next
Wow.
Wednesday.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's just people registered. That's not like
Right.
guests and everything else. That's that want
Right,
to win. So
right.
I'm encouraging every single one of you guys too. Go
And the
out there and
date,
fill out the
time,
because
and
I want
everything
you
on
guys
this
to-
is what?
For the drawing or you mean the
The
night?
19th.
Yeah, that was Wednesday the
19th.
19th. We're gonna.
Wednesday
He
the
wants us to
19th
come on
at
at
8 p.m.
10:20 Eastern.
Yep.
I don't want to win nothing, but I'll be
8 p.m.
more than happy to
You guys,
be there
yeah,
to
you're gonna
support
come on
you.
at 10:20. I
10:20.
got you guys slotted.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, man. I've always felt kind of slotted.
Lord willing, brother, you'll meet that milestone, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Oh,
will.
yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
No doubt.
Yes, sir. We hope, pray you do,
Yeah.
brother.
Hey,
All right,
we
y'all.
will.
got-
And
Let y'all finish your thing, but we appreciate everybody. God bless y'all.
Hey,
Love y'all. God
God
bless.
bless y'all. Thank you again for such an
Thanks,
amazing,
guys.
Thank you,
thoughtful
buddy.
gift, and how you ask everybody to enter was really great. Thank you.
It blew
Yes,
us
sir.
away too.
All right, y'all take it easy.
All right,
Thanks, guys.
we're over 2 hours now. We didn't even send the link to invite anybody in tonight, folks. Of course, we had Tim and Hannah on.
And we already
Jason
went
here.
2 hours. We have.
We've already
really.
went 2 hours, and we had and Jason. Thank you so much for coming in and spending the whole show with us, brother.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
yeah, we
It's
really
been
Sure,
great,
appreciate it.
man.
Sure, Billy, I like that. Hey, at least it's got a Billy in it, huh?
Yeah,
He's one of us. He
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
tastes the salt waters off.
that's right.
And we want to
Taste the
thank
salt
everybody
water
that
time.
commented.
Yeah, thank
Sorry,
everybody.
Jason.
Well, great
I can
crowd
see him
tonight.
out there with a rope and a chicken leg pulling in crabs right now. I used to do that down in North
That's it.
Carolina.
You're preaching. You're talking to them. That's my favorite thing to do, Earl. Come on.
Awesome.
See
Besides
what I'm
these.
saying? I know how it is.
That's right. Chicken necks on the line with cold beer
Yeah,
waiting at
man.
home.
We're
Probably got a
all
6-foot
Go.
shrimp net, don't you? You got a 6-foot or a 12-foot cast net.
1,200 feet of trout line.
I hear
There's-
you.
there's similarities
go.
no matter where we live, isn't there, guys?
Mhm.
There he is.
Right.
We all got to
Amen.
eat.
Hey, man,
Yep.
I appreciate y'all so much. And hey, Houston, you gonna take us home, brother?
Yeah.
All right,
We
well,
will appreciate everybody.
All right.
Thank
Well,
y'all.
hey, we listen. We put out a call for bluegrass music. We'd love to have some bluegrass music to end the show with. We about got in a little trouble one night by playing a song. We only had half. We had permission from half of the interested parties, not the other half. So the couple
Oops.
songs we do have permission for, we kind of wore them out. But anybody that knows anybody that could let us play some bluegrass music, particularly bluegrass gospel, would be awesome at the end of the show. That'd be awesome. But and so what we generally do is, since we don't have any, is we just kind of we replay our show intro. And but just want to tell everybody good night before we do that. And thanks again, Jason. And good to
Thank
see
you
you,
so
Earl.
much,
Good to see you,
Jason.
Houston.
Bohemia Bees.
Thanks, guys.
Love y'all. God bless. God bless you. God bless your bees, everybody.
God bless you.